team fights coming out. You've got RP, you've got Ravage on one team. The other side has Supernova, Ghost Ship, and Axe Call. So, like the panel was talking about, look for the circles, you know, and look for first blood.
Yeah,
probably.
it's already happening. Mira looks to be dead. First blood goes the way of Liquid already. That was very fast, but at least we caught it on camera this time.
Yes.
As Miposhka is going to get skewered a bit. Nisha with some body blocks of his own.
Okay.
Looks like they might be able to pick this one up as well, as he only has Fire Spirits, which is of course on cooldown. Another dead shot to come. And one Stormbolt into the right clicks. It's enough for Liquid to already be off to a 2-0 start. Now these two teams obviously played each other quite a bit this year, Cinder, since they've all been to basically every LAN throughout this calendar year. Liquid, a lot of second places, of course, which they're a bit salty about. Spirit, though, I mean, overall, I think Spirit are 7-6, so pretty damn close win-loss record between these two teams.
Yeah, and if you're Team Liquid this year, like you said, all those second places, a lot of them have been to Gaming Gladiators, and then you were like, oh, nice, we get to play another team in the finals, and well, then they lost to them. So
that's right.
You know, maybe this could be, this would be the perfect time to really bring it all together and finally grab a tournament win, because obviously for these players, that would be the first Aegis. So they've got a long road to go, though. Winning the series would put them in the top 3, which is already very close. They were there last year, I believe. They got 3rd, if I remember correctly. Looking to improve that placement this time around.
That's right. So Laurel will be playing against Nisha. No big surprise, of course. Both mid laners for each respective team. Kunkka versus Magnus. Magnus, not a hero been seeing that much this year. What is this pick all about?
Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing. I mean, clearly Team Liquid are tripling down on trying to shut down Yotoro's Chaos Knight here with multiple big AoE spells, but I do wonder if it's a little bit too much of a good thing here that they have too many of these circles, as they were talking about, that the heroes perform the same function. And you're also picking Magnus into Kunkka mid, which I think on paper should be a pretty bad matchup, right? Magnus, sure, you can see us a little bit here and there with Shockwave, but Kunkka, you're never going to harass him out of lane, and on the flip side, he's going to be dealing some serious damage once he hit level 3 and especially level 5. So curious to see if Nisha can stay afloat there. Laurel has been very good on his Kunkka in some of the games we've seen, and give him an easy matchup, it's going to be even better.
Another hero that the panel did discuss, and I'm going to talk about probably for the next 10 minutes straight, is Collapse's Axe, because this is one of his patented heroes. He kind of doesn't matter what the meta is, what people are picking generally. Like, this is a hero that he will pick because he feels comfortable with it, and there's a reason for that, because he absolutely destroys.
I think, you know, a lot of the time when people bring out, oh, hang on, Insania.
Well, he's in a bit of trouble. Battle Hunger applied right now. Looks like he'll tick out eventually, as there's an Inkswell now. On to Mickey. The Mira will likely die shortly after eats a tree. It's not going to be enough, as now just the position 1 and 3 are there to clean things up.
Yeah, just barely missing the brambles there allowed Mickey to connect and get that finish. But yeah, what I was going to say was, a lot of the time when you nominate players for, okay, who's the best in the world at a specific hero or whatever, you know, a lot of the time there's discussion. I feel like very few people will be contesting Collapse on Axe based on what we've seen this year. Like, this player-hero combination, it's also easy to be the best player in the world on a hero when you're the only one playing it, but, you know, there's a reason he still plays it when nobody else does, right? That tells a very clear story. Zai here in some serious trouble. Will be cracking off some minus armor there. Be fine.
All right, since it's the laning stage, we're going to have to come up with a good name for this, okay? Because we haven't, I don't think you and I have cast a game where the anchor, whatever the hell that shard for Tidehunter is actually called.
Dead in the water.
They got rid of Tentacle Surprises. Boxy looks to likely be dead here to Yotaro's right click. Zai, nice big anchor smash on Miposhka, who has to be pretty careful here. Body blocks coming out as well. Pops the Fairy Fire. There's the Fire Spirit as well, which means Zai can't have got another right click, but the anchor smash not in range this time.
Gonna pull him away there with the Reality Rift to ensure Miposhka gets the Lotus Flower here. So
anyway, back to the important discussion. What are we calling that anchor, Cinderin?
Dead in the water.
No, then we're not calling it that. I'm not gonna scream dead in the waters, but Miposhka, he still ends up dying. As Zai ends up being in range, anchor smash on a right click will suffice.
I got nothing.
Okay, good.
Dead in the water is a good name, Shane. Just call it what it's called.
Well, does connect as Mickey's coming in with that war cry. Mira, there's the Stormbolt to connect, and he's going to pop the wand, actually getting a lot of HP back, using the trees to his advantage.
Yeah, the brambles are really nicely
very in there.
Nisha starting to drop low. This was always going to become challenging, but he's doing really well for himself on the CS. I was actually expecting Kunkka to be pulling ahead at this point, but now the real challenge begins with that level 5 coming in. Perhaps even with the CS advantage, you still have to, you see him using a salve there. That constant harassment is still going to make it tricky, but top 3 net worth currently sitting on the side of Liquid, so they've got to be pretty happy about that.
Boxy, he's going to get pursued by Miposhka. Fire Spirit hits as well. This looks like it's going to be a kill one way or another. Nice dead shot, though. Not going to create enough space that eventually Boxy will fall. But yeah, looking at Nisha in the mid lane, like looking at the CS overall, very even. Is that what you would expect between these two heroes?
I mean, I was expecting a slight advantage for Kunkka, so I think this is a job well done by Nisha already. Oh, hang on. Yeah. Collapse.
Well, Collapse, gonna get slowed a bit. Boxy trying to
He gets the Vanguard just in time, though.
Does. Is that going to be enough to actually make him survive? The dead shot keeps going back. His Collapse trying to TP out will be fine. Like you said, Vanguard basically being the reason.
Yeah, perfect timing, too, because not only does he survive that, but that was a 3-hero attempt from Team Liquid. They brought Boxy down there, so always feels good to survive those, but either way, despite not killing the Axe, they still force him back. He has to do the long walk back to bottom, and keep in mind, he doesn't have boots. Rushing Vanguard, he's probably going to miss a wave and a half, if not 2, on the way down here, and that almost feels as good as killing him, to be honest, so not bad for Team Liquid.
It's not as satisfying, though. You need
that is very true.
You need that dopamine rush. Zai at level 5. Oh, Nisha, mid lane, is going to get X as Miposhka makes his way over as well. Do they have enough? But looks like he's going to get off that skewer with a shockwave to follow, but they're just going to right-click him into the ground. So nice pick off there from the likes of Spirit. In the meantime, it does cost them a Toro, though, because there was a 3-hero play top coming out from Liquid. Both supports rotating together with the Tide. Slowing down the CK here, pretty important. Zai is almost level 6. Yatoro is level 4.5. So this top lane, it's one of the luxuries that Tide has against Chaos Knight, is that it's one of the few offlaners that can survive against CK +1 with just a couple of levels. So with Boxy leaving that top lane to go bottom, you leave solo experience in the hands of the Tide. And now Zai is going to show up with this Meteor Hammer and almost level 6. And this top tower will fall. Yatoro. Yep. Oh, well, they cancel the first usage. Nicely done from Yatoro, but this obviously will eventually go down one way or another to Zai.
Surprised he didn't cast that from the tree line there. Actually just walked up straight in front of the tower. And
making him use mana is very efficient. That chaos is very expensive. It's Mickey trying to keep Collapse off, but he is very tanky, as we said, has raindrops in his inventory now. The backpack, I should say, with the boots. And are you expecting any variation to... Are we going to see Aghanim Scepter at any point on Axe? Been in love with this Aghanim Scepter, Octarine, Arcane Blink build that I've been seeing.
Well, if we get an 80-minute game, he'll probably have all those items. We've had one of those today already.
I mean, we've been having a lot of those, like, really 60-plus minute games anyway, so it wouldn't be a big surprise.
I don't know if I've really seen Collapse by Ags. I want to say I've seen it one game, maybe, but it's not a common pickup for the hero for the most part, so maybe this is the kind of game you do it in. Applying the minus armor is... Or, sorry, not applying the minus armor. Getting yourself the plus armor here is very valuable against these heroes, obviously. But, don't know. Still not completely sold.
Okay. You'll be a believer by the end of this game, I'll tell you that right now.
I correct myself. I was right both times. It both gives minus armor and plus armor.
Yeah, it does.
And I just corrected myself to saying it's only one. Why didn't you correct me? You know this Axe so well.
I do, actually.
Yeah.
I just don't want to embarrass you in front of millions of people.
That's so nice of you. I would not do the same for you, though.
Yeah, I know. That's
Let it be known.
A robot.
Yep.
No emotions. Zai, level 7. No boots yet. Still in his stash back at the base, but he's taken firm control of this top lane. And that's kind of what the Tidehunters do.
Yeah. And he will start going to work on the tier 2 tower. Now, what's so pesky about this hero in this game is that I feel like aside from Axe, Spirit don't really have the best way of controlling the Tide and killing him off, so he can... It's going to require such a big rotation of like 3 or 4 heroes to kill the Tide that even if you do get the kill, it still doesn't feel great. So it's kind of one of those fires you have to put out, but it doesn't... You don't really like going for the kill, but if you don't, he's going to take your tier 2 eventually, and that's probably a bit too much to pay. So. Collapse just farmed some big stacks, though, so he will be getting there.
Yatoro gonna get some help from Laurel here with that boat. Gonna set everything up onto Boxy. Super easy kill. Of course, just the support, but I do want to talk a bit about the CK, Mr. Yatoro. This has been a hero that has kind of risen in the ranks of like just tier 1 carries. Why is that, do you think? I mean, I know big deal is like the bristleback counter, but we're not really seeing bristleback much because
he got a really big buff in 734D to the Chaos Strike, which effectively increases the damage you do against creeps by a lot. And that means you farm faster. It means you have more sustainability in lane from critting on creeps. You heal more. That's honestly one of the big things. And also the way the meta has developed has become very much about tankiness, right? This carry is tanky in its own right, but it's also good at killing tanky heroes. So it's kind of the whole package. It's a strong laner, which you also like at the high level. So there's very few drawbacks, and you're also seeing why when this hero is picked that Liquid are taking it very seriously, right? Like they understand how strong it is, so they're not only counterpicking it with one hero, but with multiple to try to solve it.
Yep, as we have another X. Zai, he's already taken the tier 1 top, so that means he needs to go to another lane because Meteor Hammer is extremely effective against these tier 1 towers.
Yeah, can't really kill him though.
Yeah, they're just making it known that that they have heroes here.
Yep.
They can't just bulldoze everything.
Curious if he's going to go Axe this game. It feels like an interesting game to buy Axe on Tide, right? You can hit all of the CK illusions. You're playing against multiple enemy melee cores. It's a blink cancel against Axe if you cast it on Fog. It also hits Dark Willow and Shadow Realm if she goes dagger. She can't blink. Multiple good things to be said about it here, but I think first and foremost you need to make sure that you can survive if you get Axe called. And Axe is not going to help you too much with that, and obviously there will be an inevitable Silver Edge as well for your Toro later in the game, so you kind of need to plan for those hurdles later on.
Well, good news for Spirit fans, Collapse does have his blink being delivered right now, and expect that to be go time. And Blade Mail to come next, and then we'll really see what build he wants to go for. If he thinks it's going to go longer range, maybe, I was going to joke and say Midas, but kind of another Midas is that Boots of Travel. Wouldn't be too bad. Into, of course, BKB. Then you take apart the Vanguard for Octarine and you go for Gildan.
Oh, yeah. And then you get that Arcane Blink.
That's right.
Works wonderfully in your game.
You're being sarcastic. I've seen him do this, though.
I genuinely think it can be good.
It's very good.
It can be good, but it's very expensive. It's a luxury build later on. Okay, they're going to try Zai this time.
Well, they have several heroes here, most of the team, in fact. And Zai is going to get some support coming, but it's going to be too late as the egg is dropped as well. Now the cancellation of the TP. Maposha technically gets credit for that kill, and now Spirit looking to take out the tier 1 tower as well.
But that's the perfect example of what I was talking about, right? It's a 4-man rotation. Okay,
showing off that blink. Culling Blade likely to follow. Nope. Or did he actually get it?
He did.
Okay, good. I like Culling Blade stacks. Tier 1 tower will fall as well. And now they know he has his blink. Question is, what's the next power spike for the side of Liquid? Like, what is Nisha looking to go for? He has the Echo Saber, going to go for the Harpoon first, it looks like.
Yeah, that's a bit of a concern with their lineup, right? It's if neither Tide nor Mag buy daggers, how do you initiate fights on your terms, right? You kind of need this either Surprise Ravage or a Skewer back to really set something up. The Harpoon can obviously do it, but it's a bit less of a surprise. You give the enemy more reaction time. And if you don't take any initiative, something both teams are very good at in this game is farming the jungle, right? You have multiple heroes that are really good at this. Both teams have put a lot of emphasis on it, and also in making stacks. On one side, you have Axe and Kunkka that can just cleave down these camps without any trouble, and on the other one, you've got Sven and Tide. So plenty of ways of just getting an economic advantage if you're the team that makes one pressure move and then gets to stack, and the other one is sitting back quietly. And that's kind of how Spirit have built their 2K lead here, is they've had a couple of more successful moves, and while still maintaining that very high level of farm on their Axe with the stacks here. Actually higher net worth than the Sven on Axe. And this is a Sven who's 2-0-1 with 150 CS. Axe is still on par with this guy. So
that's why he is considered by many to be the best Axe in the world right now. And he's almost done with his Blade Mail. We just talked about him finishing. I mean, they've been doing a really good job of stacking, and he's been stacking a bit himself as well, but this is some crazy farm. And once he gets that Blade Mail, expect that the initiation just to continue over and over again.
It's something that I've been criticizing some of the other Eastern European teams for. In particular, we had one game of Bedroom that I think it was, where they barely stacked anything, and then I look at Team Spirit, I look at Liquid, and in a stale game state, they make sure to maximize that. Perhaps that's one of the secrets as to why these teams, claim a couple more games here or there. It's just that those little efficiencies really build up over time. and they're very much not wasting any time on their supports. I want to say that there was a ridiculous game. I don't remember if it was this tournament, but Liquid were stacking unbelievably many camps on their supports, just recognizing, well, this is a slow game. This is how we get net worth. Yeah, he's dead again.
Not exactly the target they wanted, but they'll take the second chop of the game for Collapse.
Stacks are great.
Get that permanent armor.
And that was a level, was that a level 2 dunk? No, that was still level 1. I think he's got 3 level 1 dunks out so far, right?
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
No,
he's got 2. So he's got, anyway, he's got 3 armor extra. Very nice.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Blade Mail now officially finished at base, so we'll bring that shortly. Now, from the side of Liquid, looks like there will be a blink coming out for Zai, and actually he's opting to go for Shard really early after the fact. We'll see if he continues with that, and then continue our very riveting conversation on what the hell to call that thing. Is Collapse going to get gushed? But we'll be able to blink away. Mickey finally showing up to a fight potentially, but the Terrorize is going to connect on him. But Mira couldn't get out while he could have. JK, he's getting out.
Yep. Good call.
Thank you.
Yeah, about the conversation about Dead in the Water, what makes a conversation is that 2 people are talking, and you're kind of the only one in the room who cares. So
a lot of people talk to themselves, I feel like. That's perfectly normal, right?
Is that a conversation or a monologue?
Depends on how many characters are inside your head.
That's actually a very fair point. Great.
Thank you, sir. This is TI-12 main stage upper bracket, by the way, in case you're wondering why we're having a podcast right now.
All right. Dead in the Water. We're done. It's called what it's called. It's a great name for the spell. All right. We have a call and a dunk.
Beautifully done. So another dunk from the side of Collapse and Team Spirit.
All right.
Oh, we're going to see the Harpoon being put to good use here from Nisha. Inkswell's coming for him, though. The Yules dodging a bit here. This Collapse is finally going to get off that call, but he doesn't really have that much of backup here. It's just the Phoenix. Insania, okay, they're going to be able to blink away. Another Harpoon coming into a skewer, back into the fray, and Egg is placed, but Collapse, he actually gets a call. He's going to be able to get the dunk off. He does! They actually canceled the RP, thinking they wouldn't need it, and now Insania might die as a result, but no, here comes the big bad Sven, and finally they take out Axe, but it's going to cost them 3 overall from the side of Liquid. Deadshot connects onto Miposhka. Looks like they'll at least get a second, but my goodness, I feel like that Culling Blade should not have happened.
Yeah, and Nisha definitely unhappy with that outcome, right? I can understand why he maybe feels like the RP perhaps isn't needed there, or yeah, it just wasn't. Maybe he wasn't keeping track of the call coming off cooldown again. But when we see it play out, it's kind of obvious that that's going to be the end of it. Grimstroke in these kind of situations, Grimstroke doesn't deal that much damage, right? It's Magnus that has to do the brunt of it. You're getting a little bit of a stun here and there, but really needed to commit all out, and I'm sure Spirit are very happy with that. Of course, 2 of their cores didn't even need to get involved. Sven came over for the cleanup, so Liquid are the ones rotating a core to salvage the day, whereas Spirit are just completely free farming on the CK as well as Kunkka in the meantime. And that is going to result in Laurel picking up a 17-minute Torrent Storm here.
Pretty good.
Preparing to get himself the Shard next. Now,
a lot of water in this.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I think the Shard in this game is like particularly good. It's very annoying for Magnus to deal with this item, right? And he's going to have to buy BKB to solve it, and that again in turn means Nisha is not getting that dagger. And you're playing against triple melee core, so Torrent Storm is also going to be amazing. And Liquid will probably really struggle to win any meaningful teamfight if Torrent Storm even comes out. I think even if they land their spells, they're going to be stunned and controlled for too long. So got to be very careful with how they approach things. Zai with the dagger now. Could be a bit of a game changer if they do find a burst, but Spirit Heroes are really tanky.
Oh boy. I just saw Midas queued up here from the back.
Oh, Zai.
Onto Zai. Yatoro has come as well just to finish the job. Big kill for Spirit, and that might transition to a tier 2 tower as well.
How many times when we cast Collapse, I feel like what's so fascinating about the way that he plays Axe is that the map generally is quiet he goes and calls someone, the map is quiet for a minute, and then it feels like the next move is always him, you know? He's like snowballing, he's finding all the initiations back to back to back to back. He's doing a really good job of keeping the ball rolling here and not having too much downtime. Liquid are struggling a bit to string too much together. It's not like a criminally big advantage here for Spirit, but you got to be a little bit worried that, especially when you see that Magnus Grimstroke move essentially kind of fail, that maybe they're going to try to slow things down further, and I think that's exactly what Spirit wants. If Liquid resort to farming, you're giving up Roche control, and you're playing into exactly what Collapse has been doing for the last 10 minutes. Are there any key items that they can get to solve this problem? So obviously a classic item against Axe is Yules, but nobody's buying that on the side of Liquid. And Collapse will eventually get a BKB, at which point it becomes kind of irrelevant. You don't have any save except the Inkswell shard, but that doesn't remove Berserker's Call. It's undispellable. You can remove the other stuff though. Maybe it's go time with Sven Echo Saber. He disassembled his Echo into BKB, so he needs to refarm it. Perhaps that's the timing you're looking for. You have Zai level 12 for the level 2 Ravage. Could be an idea.
Laurel has that shield rune now. Tier 1 tower looks to be what they want, and they'll get it without any contest whatsoever. Getting close to some Tormy time action here in 10 seconds. A lot of these cores are opting to get for early shards. We'll see how much they prioritize taking Tormy himself, and that is exactly what Team Spirit have on the menu. Yep, and he should be able to get it for free.
It's going to be either
Might cost him a life here, but Mira will be getting it, so the old Curse Crown Bramble combo.
Yeah, it's going to be either Mira or... Was it only Mira and Yatoro missing it? Yeah.
Really? That's it?
I think so.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's some early shards. My goodness. Collapse already has his. Gracious.
Yeah, and the CK one is really good as well. A lot of the time you see CKs even buying this. I think Yatoro in this game is going to prioritize getting the Silver Edge as fast as possible, or just
if they get
incredibly important item here.
If they get their Tormentor right now, this is likely the fastest 5 shards we've ever seen. Like
I do think that's probably true. Yeah, the whole team having a shard minute 20, but Liquid are not going to let that happen. They're planning here to contest that 21-minute Wisdom rune, but Spirit well aware that this play could be happening, so they're bringing the numbers too, and Liquid are
able to get the Wisdom rune on the other side. Not going to cost the life of the Spirit. Dark Willow there.
This does mean, like you said, that there's going to be a natural rotation here for Spirit to finish the Tormentor, so I'm actually a little bit surprised that they're not opting to kill it off right now. Maybe they think the CK shard isn't worth it.
Ooh, nice time away from Laurel. Boxy's going to have to use his ult to stay alive a little bit longer, but he's stuck in this corner. There's Collapse with the call, and eventually the dunk to come. That is dunk number 5. As Collapse just continue to roll, will be the boots.
Oh, they found Zai as well with the Yules. Brambles.
He's going to connect. He's going to have to make his way through this maze. He has a very fat body, but looks like he'll be able to find his way out into the arms of Yatoro. And Collapse comes in as well. Another chop to his name. And now the Tier 2 tower will take some heavy damage here.
And we're really starting to see the problem with the Radiant lineup that I was worried could happen here, is that all of the moves are from the side of Spirit. Liquid's heroes this is inherently a very greedy lineup that needs a lot of time to farm up all 3 cores, and nobody truly wants to go in first. So what ends up happening is that they're spreading the map thin and trying to farm as much as they can, but they're just bleeding too many heroes along the way. If Spirit keeps finding a core kill every minute or 2, this is not going to be a winning strategy. Like, essentially, at some point you're going to have to pull the trigger and go for a fight. And with the BKB on Magnus, maybe that's it. How long can you wait here is the question, right? You've already waited quite a long time. And the one smoke move you made... Oh, hang on, there we go.
God's trying to use everything on to Collapse, but the Blade destroying him! Thinking gets deleted, and now DJ puts himself on the cliff, pulling an Arteezy! Oh dear, he's completely surrounded now, and it just feels like it's inevitable. He will fall in the end, 2 for nothing, as Spirit is rolling over Liquid, and that's going to be another chop to Collapse. And just like that, Team Spirit take even more firm control of this game.
Meke just went for it and didn't pop his BKB and just got obliterated. He just ran in, started the fight onto the Axe. They call him and kill him with Blade Mail. All right.
Very simple, and now they go for Roche number 1.
So look at this replay here. So he's going to go in and pop all his stuff and just... Oh, okay. He gets called with Blade Mail, doesn't have the BKB running, gets comboed by Kunkka, and the fight is already lost here. If your Sven dies first and you don't get off Ravage at all, and the RP is late, and you clip yourself,
I mean, the clipping, like...
I think there were multiple things this fight that could have gone better. It's quite uncharacteristic, if I'm being honest. Liquid are making some pretty significant individual mistakes, right? I don't know if it's the nerves or the pressure here. We felt like, you know, that this is a team that on the big stage for a while had problems with keeping their composure, but they really overcame it last year. And this year, obviously, we've seen tons of second placement, so you wouldn't think that it would get to them, but maybe just a little bit of a warm-up game for some of their players. Definitely not their best individual performances that we've seen.
I think it's just tradition that at some point we need somebody to cliff themselves. Now that Arteezy's been out of the tournament for a while, just, you know, Nisha taking up the reins, so fully appreciate that. But yeah, 12K lead for Spirit now. Aegis in tow for Mystery Yatoro on that CK. He's got a BKB, Silver Edge, Armlet, Echo Saber. He is huge.
And he's not the only one. All these three strength.
Oh, a Midas.
A rare pickup from Mira, right? He likes, I say rare, but he's one of the 4 position players I would say that are less greedy in terms of itemization. You saw him rush the Yules here, but just feels like, you know, the state of the game here, it's very safe. You don't have to get an additional utility item like a Glimmer Cape or whatever. He's doing a lot of work with just what he has, so.
Yep, Foxy. Phantasm into death.
Oh,
Here we go. Okay, Soulbind is there as well, it looks like, but Nisha's going to be able to BKB skewer away. Collapse comes in for another kill onto Zai. Not even much needed, really.
It's just too easy, you know? Like, when's the last time Liquid actually got a kill in this game? I feel like it's been...
We haven't even seen a dead in the water yet.
That's true.
That skill is dead in the water. Mickey comes in with the Godfrey. He's going to be able to take out one, but that's just the Aegis. Can he take out Collapse in tow as well as the egg is continuing to go out? Will get the stun off. And he is reborn. Mickey, not so much, though. And it looks like Liquid are starting to crumble now.
Nice dispel.
Yeah, oh, the RP actually puts him onto the high ground. And there's the buyback from the Huertas. Going to be able to pop that ult as well. So he's going to do significant damage. But tidal wave is there from Laurel. Not going to do too much in effect here. They've already lost 3 on the side of Liquid as Yatoro limping away. And Laurel with the XTP.
Oh,
like he'll be safe. Looked like a potential good turnaround from Liquid, but
they didn't get a kill.
They need to get a kill first for that to start happening.
I think their last kill was minute 15.
Okay, sure.
So, what's concerning about this, aside from the fact that they haven't got a kill, which in itself is a problem, is that this was the timing for their lineup where things were meant to be happening. It's once you get these BKBs on the Sven and on the Magnus that you want to take fights and at the very least trade. But Collapse's axe has just been all over the Tide all games. Zai has not got to play his hero. Collapse is 10-1. They combine with him very nicely. I love the pick in this game, not only for the Tide, obviously the matchup there, hero to hero, but look at all the synergies he has in his team. He can get Bedlam from his Ion.
Oh, dead in the water onto axe! Into what though? Mickey gets off a stun as well. He's still anchored. He's ignoring the anchor, and finally Nisha comes in, gets off a skewer with the BKB as well. Collapse completely surrounded. Will they kill him? Finally, they get a kill for Liquid. Yatoro now trying to run away. The BKB still activated, about to run out though, taking heavy damage. Will fall. Now Zai feels like the first Ravage of the game. Now Laurel's gonna be completely surrounded, but Poach comes on a high ground as well, but doesn't have his egg quite yet. Torrent Storm dealing significant amount of CC, but it feels inevitable that they will be able to get this Kunkin kill. So Liquid are going to end up finding 3, trying to dive to the Ogre, but not going to happen. Insani gets the kill. Liquid with a 3-0 fight. Are they alive? It all started with dead in the water, by the way.
For the first time in the last 15 minutes, they jump Axe, right? Yeah. With the exception of the Sven killing himself on Axe. So they find the key target, they pile on him. I think Collapse had BKB on cooldown as well, so that made the kill that much easier, and they finally strike back and get something going their way. Gonna need a lot more of those though, as obviously can't guarantee in the next fight that the conditions are going to be the same. You see the BKB cooldown in the bottom, 5 seconds until that would have been ready. And that, honestly, I think they would have turned this fight around entirely with that BKB usage. So very big for Liquid that they timed that out. And Yatoro, who was trying to help, ends up being collateral. So obviously, in hindsight, Spirit better off just letting their axe die there and recognizing, okay, he got caught, he was out of position, let it be, but they're trying to make the most of it into a fight and end up getting punished big time, losing all 3 cores.
Yeah, and we should mention all 3 cores for Spirit are melee, so dead in the water. Not to talk about that again, but I'd love to. Pretty damn strong. You don't want to group up against the likes of RP and a Tidehunter Ravage and whatnot.
Oh, Zai.
Yataro's going to show himself. Kraken Shell activates, but this is going to be way too much damage. Didn't even bother using Dead in the Water. Do you get gold for that?
Yeah, it gives 50, I think.
Oh, 50.
Yeah. 10 gold per hit, you know?
Very nice. Like a little baby Midas for the enemy team.
Well,
I think that is an underrated shard, though, I will say.
It is. I mean, it is very good. It's also been... It's become a lot more popular on Tides in this tournament than it was previously. I think they really picked up on how good the item is, and we're seeing the promise of what it can do in this game. Liquid's conditions are just too hard. They're just very, very far behind. So it's going to take some sort of really clean engagement. I'm still looking toward the Magnus to kind of be the big playmaker here. I think you need to go for some sort of displacement plays where you skewer somebody into a bad spot and then take the fight from there. Because that thing with Collapse last fight, as great as that was, it's unlikely to happen again in the same way, just because that was the perfect storm of him not having BKB and being out of position, and his teammates not being in the right spot to help him. So it was a great punish from Liquid, but they're going to need more of them. 13K is still a mountain to climb. Roche is up in 2 to 5 minutes. Wonder if Spirit, they're kind of looking at high ground here, which is okay.
There's the call. Yatoro comes in again. Do they have enough? He's going to get us Ravage, but he dies shortly after. Does have buyback, though. Maybe a bit of a mistake. He's going to use that buyback right now. As Mickey coming in, he's going to be able to delete Mirror to start this fight. His Collapse is being chased now. The Egg doing a massive amount of damage with that Sunray applied as well. Beautiful chart from Mirochka. But a nice RP coming in very soon is Nisha. Doing a decent amount of damage, but now, can they do enough? Skewer back with the anchor applied to him. Another call comes in, though. It's Yatoro, and everybody is super low. Collapse somehow lives. Meteor Hammer, of all things, causes the death of Yatoro. And Laurel TPing out on the other side of the tree line. He will be okay. So it's a 3 for 2 in favor of Spirit. They maintain that gem, it looks like.
Yeah, that was a pretty big win for them. They got the Zai buyback as well. So essentially a 4 for 2 there. Keep expanding their... I think that really caught Liquid off guard. It's one of those moments where you kind of just can't believe they just go for it like that, right? It's like you're standing on your high ground, heroes are missing, you could get counterplayed on, but they immediately just jump him in the base. It's very clear here that Liquid were not expecting this. Look at their hero placements on the map, right? Nobody is nearby with the exception of Grim, who can't save him from the call. Has to buy back to sort this out. Nice quick kill there from Mickey, isolating the Willow. It's very important for this to not turn into a complete travesty, because if he doesn't even find Willow here, I think they barely even get a kill. But this way,
like the RP and the Egg kind of traded stuns. Both sides were stunned for quite a while, so kind of
this re-engage from Collapse, super clutch, despite missing the cull there. And that Meteor Hammer, if that doesn't land, that would have been possibly a lane of barracks. I actually think CK could have turned and won this fight plus a lane. With just one crit heal, he could have kept going, but they do finish him off and at the very least stay afloat. But another great fight from Spirit. Again, it's all these Collapse jumps. They combo with him so well. They put the Bedlam on him. They put Sunray on his initiation. They have the Torrent and Torrent Storm follow-up and Boat. It's just so much stuff. And Liquid playing without any sort of key save really makes this last pick work so wonderfully. Really, like when you look at this Spirit draft just on paper in this patch, I think it's just super, super strong. It has everything you want. It has catch, team fight, strong laning, and late game scaling. And all of the heroes work well in pairs or in trios to even take skirmishes. So you just have so many, you know, like the decision-making tree is just so big for you. You can do all sorts of things, whereas Liquid's is a lot more pigeonholed into one style. And that means if that style doesn't work, if you don't find that exact type of fight, you're playing Spirit's game.
Smoke from Liquid. Satanic
this is
now
what they want to do.
For Nisha. Ready to go. Will they find each other, though, as Roche, we can see, will be up in 30 seconds. Here. Shield room, he's going to get the initiation off onto the Sven with the Sunray coming in from the Egg as well. As Nisha looking for the RP potential, he's going to be able to skewer a couple away. Stormbolt will fall, and there's the right clicks to commence, but Mickey is extremely low. He will fall. The anchor comes out along with the Ravage as well, but that's a dead Nisha. Already 2 cores dead for Liquid. And this is looking very, very bad for them, as Zai, stuck between a bunch of brambles, will eventually be brought down as well. 3 for nothing. Make it 4 as that chop potentially brings this game to an end. As Insania onto the high ground in his base. Will be the lone survivor for Liquid, but now they're on the doorstep is Spirit.
Can't appreciate that voice line usage. Shout out to Spirit Flax. That was very nice. Well, he did survive. Oh.
Yep, true.
He was the one hero alive that still had a voice to yell help, but there was nobody to help him, so, you know.
Well, knocking on the door is Yotaro and Team Spirit. How much will they get?
At the very least one lane. Just half a minute on Sven, Mag, and a minute on Tide.
I mean, Sven will have ult when he's back. That is something, but
it just feels like
no Ravage, no RP.
Yeah, how do you fight without Tide and RP, right? You have these two big ultis, so when they're not available.
You do have Dead in the Water, though.
That's true. That's a great ult.
Okay, now that we're going to have a slight break here, I have a very important mechanics question to ask you.
Go again.
I don't know the answer to it.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know, sorry.
Okay. So
ask someone else. Ask Fog backstage. He knows everything.
So how do illusions work against Dead in the Water? Do they count as half a hit, a fourth of a hit? Like the CK illusions versus Anchor, or versus Dead in the Water?
That's a very good question. I'm sure we'll figure that out later.
Appreciate you joining me as always. As Yotaro looking for the second Roche of the game. And it's going to be a freebie for Team Spirit as they are in the driver's seat right now of this game number one. But of course, it is a best of three, and these teams, like we said, have had a lot of back and forth throughout this year. Almost an even record between the two, but I feel like their last really big matchup, as Torby's being taken on the sideline here, it looks like, was Riyadh. It was a 3-1 for Spirit. And even though Liquid did win one game, the 3 wins for Spirit were very decisive. I would say it was not very close overall. So they've had their number more recently, I suppose.
And now they're also going to have the Aegis and Cheese. And is that a full Scott? Oh my goodness. Yotaro is enormous. Completes up the Eye of Scotty now. So now rocking about 27 armor as well as 4,500 health. You put a Sunray on that. You put a Ghost Ship on that. Put an Aegis on it too, so you got to deal with it twice. The work's definitely cut out for Liquid. And the problem is here, even if you do kill him, right, you're only taking fights during BKB, but what happens when the fights get long, right? Can you actually even stick on targets? There's so many problems. You have to deal with the Torrent Storm, the constant tidal waves for your melee course, navigating brambles. Well, they find Mira, so that's something.
Honestly, for people that have been watching a lot of Dark Willow, that was kind of cathartic to watch her die in that manner. Just being kited horribly. But it is a very valuable pick. We've seen it as core a lot of the time, but the fact that it can be flexed between...
Okay, Mickey is in.
Okay. Yes, Niche on the sideline uses the Harpoon as well. RP coming out.
He's not
only on for one, though. Kunkka is super healthy. Yotaro still ready to go on the outskirts of this calling, though. Kunkka getting a bit low. He's going to have that cheese to be able to stay alive. There's a Soulbind onto 2. Is this going to turn into anything, though? Big Ravage coming onto 3. They will find Laurel in the end, so Liquid off to a pretty good start. But can Spirit try to capitalize? Dark Will is still dead from earlier, so just like that, it's a 3v5, but still Aegis intact for Spirit. There's the call, re-aggression from Collapse. Yotaro coming in with that silver edge. Gonna get skewered to the other side, though. Can he Arnold toggle away? No, he's gonna be veered to the other side, and that is the Aegis down. They will get Zai. And Sania looks like he'll be able to TP out, so it cost them the Aegis. I mean, considering how this game is going, that's not that bad for Liquid, but they did expend a lot of big ults that have long cooldowns.
That was honestly masterfully played by Liquid. I think that fight is exceptionally difficult to get that result in. They did so many things right about, you know, just being super patient on the Tide with the Ravage, about poking and prodding to try to force Spirit's heroes into bad positions, but they still stood firm. If this wasn't as one-sided of a game as it is, that would have been such an awesome fight for them. I think that was the best executed fight of the whole game, but the fact of the matter is you're just too poor. So it's got to be even better than that. And keep in mind, there was a 4v5 as well, right? There was no Willow in that, so. But they're doing their best. They're doing what their lineup can right now.
Syndra.
Okay. Paladin Sword.
Aghanim Scepter for Mr. Collapse.
Did he buy it? Very nice. There you go. Now he just needs the Arcane Blink, right?
Well,
and Octarine.
He's going to get Refresher, which kind of does that, right? That's the big boys version of that build, I suppose. But yeah, now his call will have less cooldown. This Ag is actually super value. Lowers the cooldown of Berserker's Call for some reason, right? And anybody that's called will be Battle Hunger. Now Battle Hunger will steal armor, essentially. So pretty damn good. I think this was like... This was buffed like 10 different times, just very small increments.
Yeah.
Now I think it's actually crazy.
Oh, Nisha. Nisha.
At the call from Collapse. Will he be able to get this kill? The Soulbind is there, though. Shield Rune activated right now onto Laurel, so he's super tanky. Torrent Storm is there.
Oh, he
Storm right off the bat! Oh, that's not not where you want to be, Nisha. He is dead. No buyback.
He's just
very unlucky.
On the fast BKB, and then ends up dying into a collapse.
To the base now. Insania is their target. He's going to get tidal wave back into the fray, and he will likely fall shortly after. 2 for nothing. And now Yatoro looking for another set of barracks. There's the fortification from Liquid, though. 30K lead for Spirit.
Yeah, they don't know for a fact there's no buyback on Magnus, so they might be a little bit wary here, but I think if anything, they would just like to force it out. Yatoro has got to feel super confident with the coverage that he has, and even without an Aegis, he can frontline with BKB ready. It's just not really possible for Liquid's heroes to kill him through these 5,000 health and all this armor and the backup. So it's just going to keep going. That's the second lane, and they're already pinging mid. Okay, well, if Magnus didn't buy back for this one, he probably doesn't have it at all, is the call here, and they're right. This hard to imagine how this doesn't turn into mega creeps. You need to do some sort of crazy stalling tactics, but you don't have the heroes for it.
A dead shot to start things out. Try to delay as much as possible. Calling down as well as Mickey, looking for an opening, but it's going to be the range racks in the mid. If they get the melee, that is going to be megas. Still 10 seconds without the Magnus. Zai going to get initiated on. He can't even use Dead in the Water. He's just dead in the water himself. 70 seconds of no tide, and that is now mega creeps for Spirit. And they're going to be able to get out without losing a single member of their team. Let's see how disciplined they want to be. Because they don't know that Zai doesn't have buyback, I believe. Right. He's 700 gold off, so it's not timer related.
Collapse is going to blink, call the wave.
Yeah, very important to do that with the Agnes Fabric, because applies Battle Hunger to everybody. Is Mickey trying to keep him at bay. There's a skewer in from Nisha onto the Kunkka. Laurel in a bit of trouble. Nice egg with the Sunner, going to keep him quite healthy. But look at the damage being applied from Team Spirit. They're just destroying Liquid and boxing on the outskirts. GG's called, and Team Spirit completely dominate game number 1.
Yeah, that was